Good evening, everyone. I'm Kim Brummage, and welcome to the first ever Zoom Senior Parent Night. I'm here tonight with Miss Alice Mathis, who was up on the screen a minute ago and she disappeared, so I apologize if we have some technical difficulties tonight. This is my first ever, not my first ever Senior Parent Night, but definitely my first ever Zoom Senior Parent Night. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a lot of information, and the first thing I always say is that we will have this up on the website. So if you know someone who's missed it tonight, or somebody who couldn't watch it, we will have it posted there with the PowerPoint information as well as the Zoom webinar. So class of 2021, one important thing we recommend, if you haven't already done so, is that you sign up for listserv. We send out a lot of important announcements via listserv and also via the Remind app. Obviously this year, especially with a lot of with changes every day and uncertainty, it's even more important to regularly check that to see what the latest news is. Hold on a second. All right, there we go. Advice to senior parents. So as far as the college admission process, the advice we have is to make a schedule, and this just definitely help your child to get organized. Sometimes the process is a lot more than they think it's going to be, so doing things ahead of time and being organized is always very helpful. Never write their applications. It's fine to help proofread and assist them with some things, but not to write it. They're going to be on their own soon, and they're going to need to know how to do things in the world. Also, a reason not to write your child's application is because colleges are kind of savvy, and they a lot of times they can recognize when it's an essay that a parent wrote. So it's something that you don't want to do. Your child's opinions matter, so listen to what they have to say. And again, this is a very this whole process is a life lesson, especially in these times and during these days. With everything going on, it's an important life experience. So just try to remember that. I think I skipped. All right, graduation requirements. So up here is posted are the graduation requirements. And there are certain courses that in subject areas your child has to take to complete to graduate. And they're listed up here. Also, a 2.0 unweighted GPA is required. And there are two assessments that your child has to pass in order to graduate. One is the FSA ELA, and the other one is the Algebra 1 EOC, or end of course exam. We do have, if your child gets a concordant or comparative score on the SAT or ACT, or for the Algebra 1, we still offer the PERT, then that will also satisfy that requirement. Completion of an online course is also required. Most students will have that already kind of built into their coursework at Childs. We offer a lot of courses that are considered online, have the online format, including the Hope class. Moving on to project graduation. So what is project graduation? This is a very fun, exciting event for our students, our seniors who've graduated. It's an all-night party that they have. It's alcohol-free, and it's a way for them to have fun, a way for parents to feel that your child is safe and know where they are on graduation night. Obviously, with this year, we don't know everything. I mean, with COVID, there could be some changes to project graduation. But we're hopeful now that we will be having this. If you are interested and you can get involved now, their email is listed here, childspg@gmail.com, Child's Project Graduation. They also have a website, which is really cool to check into, and they're on social media. What they're looking for now is help with raising money and collecting prizes, because they do raffle out prizes to the students at project graduation. Academic history report. This is something that your child has received. If they're a brick and mortar student, they received a printout in their homeroom class during the first week of school. If they are a digital student, we have emailed and scanned and emailed these to your child. And what's important about this is it gives them an idea of where they stand as far as graduation requirements. It details all the courses taken, the GPA. It'll have the FSA, ELA, and Algebra 1 EOC. Next to that, it has the date that your child passed the test. And then at the bottom, there's some credits that we've highlighted that are still needed for graduation. Most seniors need another English, the US government, and economics class. Some may also need a math, some may need a fine art, but those are highlighted. So we write a little note on the academic history report to seniors and say, make sure you are enrolled in the highlighted classes or you have plans to complete them. And if not, they need to see their counselor so we can help them get them in that course. One other really neat thing now is in Focus, your child can go ahead and look at their transcript anytime. They can see what their grades are. So and it's unofficial, but it's in a transcript that they can view if they ever want to see and make sure that all their credits are there and counted. Okay, Ms. Mathis was going to present the next part about options after high school. Are you there, Ms. Mathis? Let me see if I can get her. If not, oh wait, here she is.
I think she's muted.
Ask to unmute. Can you unmute Ms. Mathis? There she is right there. More. Well, I'll continue until we can until Ms. Mathis can log on. I don't see anything that says unmute on my end of it, so I'm not sure what's going on with that.
She is here, but I think her mic may be muted. I'm honestly, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe in the bottom right hand where she needs to look.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Can you unmute? I don't see a mute on there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue. So options after high school, there's a lot of things that your child can do going right into the world of work, military, and we do have military recruiters who your child can talk to if they're interested in it. The ASVAB is required for the military as well. We offer that in the fall at Childs. I don't know when that's going to be at this point. It's still to be announced. So the other, another option is vocational school. We have a local one that we have in town is the Lively Votech and the Southwest Georgia Tech in Thomasville. Other options after graduation include community college or four-year college or university. Career Source Florida. These are some really good job resources that your child can look into to help find employment for the state of Florida. Also Lively. As I mentioned, they're a technical college that are local in Tallahassee, and you can see what they have listed up here, that some of their programs that they offer. And they have a really cool new program. It's called Career in a Year, and they can go through in just 1 year and get a certification to have one of these careers that you see up here. So it's a really, really great program for some students. Community college. Why community college? It is a lower cost, smaller classrooms, closer to home. And with the competition with a lot of colleges, a lot of students are kind of opting to start out at the community college level. TCC is listed up here. That is the one that is our local one in Tallahassee. They do offer programs called TCC to FSU or TCC to FAMU. So if your ultimate goal is to, go to FSU or FAMU, you can enroll in that program. Their tours right now, they're doing both virtual and in person. And so you can contact them about that. Their admissions counselor is Jennifer Helms. Her email and phone number is there. So she's our local person who helps students with questions for TCC in particular. The state of Florida university system. There are some minimum standards for the state university system. They're listed up here, a 2.5 GPA. Of course, the minimum does not guarantee admission. It's just the minimum to be reviewed. Also, the submission of an SAT or ACT test. The state of Florida, I know this is a big question that a lot of you have due to COVID and changes with testing, but the state of Florida, anyway, the university systems, they are still requiring they're requiring SAT or ACT for admission. You may find that some other schools are not, so we'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as SUS, state university systems in Florida, they are. There's also academic requirements that they must meet, which are listed here. One thing to note is the 2 years in the same foreign language. We offer Latin, Spanish, and French. There's also some online languages that students can take, and we do online, they do now offer the American Sign Language. So that is also another option for students to get the 2 years of language. So state universities use the same weighting system that we use. So 1 point for a dual enrollment or AP course and 0.5 point for honors coursework. So college application process in the time of COVID-19. I know this is a big question for a lot of students and parents. So again, the first bullet point, as I mentioned, the Florida schools have not changed anything about test requirements. However, you've probably heard there are some other schools out of state, some private schools that have. So just check with the website and see what the most up-to-date information and see what tests, if they still have tests or if they're test optional. Some schools are going to test optional. Virtual visits are replacing a lot of on-campus visits. So again, check with the college. One other interesting thing, as far as your essay topic, what I mostly read was to not, in general, do not write about COVID-19. If you had maybe a very rare extreme experience with it, then it's okay to go ahead and write about it, but they just feel like that's on everybody's mind, and generally it's not something to write it about in your essay. However, the Common Application, which is a very popular application for college, has added a new question on their application that asks students or gives students the opportunity to write if they have been impacted by COVID-19. They have to write that in like 250 words or less. So if that has impacted you personally, you can add that there on that part. Two important things for you to know your child and for you to know. First, seniors have to be more independent and responsible with the information. This, as I mentioned, it's a crazy time, it's a different time. So they really have to step up and be resilient and motivated. And I know it's been really hard on them. So they just have to kind of, stay at it and stay the course with that. So that's the one part. The other part is I want your child to know that, I know I've seen students that have a lot of anxiety about everything. I try to help them relieve their anxiety by letting them know that they're not alone. This isn't something that's happening in Tallahassee and not even the state of Florida. This is something that's the whole world, right? The whole world is going through this. So if, and colleges are understanding. They know that test scores may not be the highest that they've been. They know that your child may have signed up for 4 SATs and they were all canceled, or maybe you drove 2 hours to the testing site only to learn that the test was canceled that day. So there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety, and they do understand that. So hopefully that will help ease some of the anxiety. Florida Shines is a really great web tool to use. It's kind of a one-stop shop for everything in the state of Florida. And it's lost funding. Unfortunately, it's lost funding this year, but it's still up for the remainder of this year. So your child can still use this as a great resource tool. And you can go in and look at about colleges in the state of Florida, community colleges, technical schools, universities, and it has a lot of good information there. It also has something called My Career Shines, which is a really nice career component. And we also have Big Futures. You can see the website here. Big Futures is with the College Board, which is the SAT company, and they also do AP and PSAT. What's interesting about the Big Futures program is it also has information on colleges that are also out of state. So it isn't limited to the state of Florida. And it also has information on paying for colleges. It can help you make a step-by-step plan if you don't know where to start, or if you want to research like what colleges offer which majors, it will have that information as well. So college admissions, what are they looking for? They're looking for different things. There's no really one magic answer. They're looking for strength of curriculum and rigor. So it's the type of, that's why we always say the type of courses that you take are important, especially in your core classes. So some colleges will, when they look at GPA, they just look at whatever your child's weighted GPA is. Some will go back and re-average GPA based on how they want to average it, maybe only using your academic core classes. Also, resiliency of student, that's important. Within the last few years, we've seen that becoming, admissions officers saying that this is becoming more and more important to be resilient. Also, again, ACT, SAT scores, check with your university. But I would say if your school is not requiring it and you've taken it and scored well, then go ahead and send it. I think it still could definitely help you with your application. And there are other parts too, extracurricular activities, leadership involvement in community service, experiences, your letter of recommendations that you get, essays. These are also other great ways that you can help make your college application look good. So sometimes students get stuck on, a test score or a certain GPA, but these are other things you can do. Most colleges, they have what we call a holistic application process. So they're looking at the whole student and everything that they've done. So these are some things you should be doing right now, deciding on a plan for after graduation. The resources that I mentioned, Big Futures and Career Shines, can help you with that. We also have a school counseling webinar on our website. Some of you may have seen it. It's called the College Application Process, and it's from the spring. It was Mrs. Garner, another one of our counselors, and Mr. Hickman, our intern from last year. They did a webinar that it's similar to this, but it really kind of hones in on the college application process and talks about the Common App versus the Coalition and other college applications that are out there. So I recommend that. When you prepare your application, the first thing to do really is to go to the college's website and make sure that you know the deadlines, you know what applications they accept. Some will accept the common application. Some may still have their university application, and some of them you can select one of many different applications. So transcripts are going to be different this year, and not necessarily this year, but transcripts depending on where you're applying. Some schools, which we'll talk about later, are not requiring transcripts at the outset, at the start. If you do apply to a college that requires a transcript, it can be sent electronically for free for all public and most private schools in Florida. If it's out of state, then our registrar, Mrs. Beatty, probably cannot send them electronically. So you'll have to request a printed copy, which you can fill out a form outside of her office in guidance and request a sealed printed copy that will be an official transcript that you can then send to your college. Also, completing a college or scholarship resume. That's a part of a lot of the applications. If letters of recommendations are required, that is also something your child needs to request. What we counselors ask is, if you're going to request a letter of recommendation from us, then to please send us a copy of your resume. That helps us build a strong recommendation for your child. Finalizing essays, maybe having someone proofread them, and then checking, signing up for the SAT and ACT, retaking or maybe taking for the first time if you were not able to take them in the spring. And we also have a scholarship drawer in our guidance area. So we have usually over 100 different scholarships there. So we have a lot of great scholarships in the drawer. And for those students who are Digital Academy, you can check out what we offer on our website. Under resources, it has the full list of scholarships, and you can, and most of that will take you directly to the website of the scholarship. So follow through and follow up. Online status check. This is really important. So most colleges will have their own a name for their online status check. So check your email regularly, and they do they receive a lot of information and applications. So kind of check there first before panicking. And sometimes things do get lost, or there's a glitch with the electronic system. So it's good that you check. And then if there's something missing, you can follow up with the admissions officer. And then a lot of the other pieces to colleges, other than just the the application, there's housing, financial aid, which we'll talk a little bit more in the next few slides, but a lot of them are due early. So again, it's important to kind of find out what the deadlines are and plan ahead so that you don't miss out on housing and things like that. So after you apply, you can be accepted, which is great, you're in the school. You can be deferred or denied. Deferred means that you have met the requirements for that college. However, they don't have room for you. So they also may tell you in a letter why you're deferred. It may say, test scores need to be a little higher, or your GPA was not quite where it should be. So that's a good opportunity to do well the second semester or retake an SAT or take the ACT if that's what was low for you, and send it in. So the students who are accepted are obviously not everyone that's accepted goes to that school. So the ones that say they're accepted and they choose to go somewhere else, that opens a spot. So that's how a deferred person may get in. And so that's what it says at the bottom in green. That's why it's important. So if your child does get accepted somewhere and they know they're definitely not going, it's important to let that school know, as soon as you can, so that can help somebody else get that opportunity. Rescinding admissions offers. It doesn't happen too often, but it can. And the reasons are listed here: poor academic performance, negative grade trend, dropping classes you said you were taking when you applied. So if you start out with like taking all AP classes and then you drop them all for PE, that's not a good sign. So they can rescind the offer. Again, I will make a side note on that, and that they're also very understanding. I mean, it's possible that there are some health concerns, maybe with your child, or maybe with the parent, and their grades went down. So if there's something, if they were in the hospital or they had an extenuating circumstance, then let the admissions officers know. They do want to hear that. Sometimes they'll even contact the counselors. They'll contact us and ask us, did something happen with this student, because they look like a really good candidate, but this one semester they kind of went down. So yeah, do make sure that you get that out if that is your situation. So 411 on financial aid. There's a lot of financial aid. There's federal, state, individual college, and private sources, and then types of aid. Grants are free money that you don't have to pay back. Loans, you obviously pay back, and scholarships and work study. The big important date for financial aid that's coming up just around the corner is October 1st. That is the opening date for the FAFSA. That is the Federal Financial Aid Application. So starting on October 1st, you can start applying for the FAFSA. You can go ahead now and get on there and request a pen to kind of speed up the process. So this requires that you submit your prior tax income information. And before submitting it, make sure it's error-free, just to make sure that everything goes smoothly with that. This is something that you as the parent will have to do and help your child with. This is something that you will have to be involved with since it includes tax income information. So then the federal government will send you an EFC, which is your expected family contribution. And that will give you an idea of if they were going to offer you a grant or a loan. And a lot of the financial aid issues can get complicated. So the good thing is there's a lot of great resources out there now online to kind of figure out expenses. So there's something called the net price calculator. It's available on college websites. And there's several others that are similar. And it allows you to go in and estimate your cost of college. Because as we know, there's tuition, but there's also books and housing and food, and there's a lot of other expenses that pile up and add up. So you can use that to kind of get an estimate of how much money you may need as a loan, or how much you may need for that college. Next is the Bright Future Scholarship. This is a very popular scholarship that we have, and it is good for any school in the state of Florida. So it is a Florida-based scholarship. There's 3 different scholarships under Bright Futures that you can get. There's 2 academic scholarships, and there's 1 gold seal. The 2 that are listed here are the academic awards. The first one is the Academic Scholars Award. This is our highest level for Bright Futures. It pays 100% of tuition at a Florida post-secondary institution. Requirements include a 3.5 weighted GPA, 1330 SAT, or a 29 ACT. Now, if you had a child last year, you'll notice the SAT score has gone up a little bit for the SAT. The ACT has stayed the same. You also need community service hours, a total of 100 hours completed. And the forms for those are also located on our website. The Medallion, Florida Medallion, is another great scholarship of Bright Futures. It covers 75% of tuition. The requirements are a 3.0 weighted GPA, a 1210 SAT, or a 25 ACT. So for this, for the Medallion, the SAT scores have gone up slightly. The ACT actually has come down. It used to be 26, now it's 25 for a class of 2021. Service hours are also required, a total of 75. And also 16 required academic units are listed here. So basically everything that's required for Bright Futures is also on the graduation requirement list, except for the 2 foreign languages. So if you recall, the list of graduation requirements did not include foreign language, but it was listed for admission to a state university, and it's also required for these 2 scholarships. There's also the Vocational Gold Seal Award. It's another part of Bright Futures. Now, this will pay 100% of a program, and it is funded only for technical vocational type programs. So it cannot be used for a 4-year bachelor degree school, or 2-year if you're doing the AA, which is the Associate of Arts degree that transfers to a university. So it can't, but it is a great scholarship if your child is interested in any of those programs. In order to qualify for Gold Seal, you have to have a 3.0 weighted GPA and a 3.5 GPA in 3 classes that are listed up here. So we have, for example, criminal justice 1, 2, and 3, a 3.5 within those courses. Also, test scores are required and 30 hours of community service. Bright Futures application information. Seniors, there's it's a one-step kind of easy application that you have to submit. October 1st is the date that the earliest date you can apply, just like the FAFSA, but it is different. So sometimes students get confused about the FAFSA and the Bright Futures application. They're two different ones. FAFSA is federal aid, and Bright Futures is the Florida Student Financial Aid.org, but they do both open on October 1st. So after October 1st, you can go ahead and do your online application. Once you've completed it online, you don't have to redo it. A lot of students ask if they should wait till they get a certain test score or a certain GPA, but they don't have to do that, because what happens is Bright Futures will refresh their information every so many weeks or so. And if the test score increases, they will see that. So you don't have to wait until you get a certain GPA or a certain test score. Community service documentation. Once you've completed your total, either 100 or 75 or 30 hours, you will submit those to Mrs. Fisher. She's our guidance secretary. Make sure you keep a copy for your records. If you are a Digital Academy student, you can also email those forms to me, Mrs. Brummage, and I will file those for you. There's two Bright Future notification dates, or two deadlines. There's the early deadline date, which is based on all of your credits from first semester, test scores by January 2021, and service hours completed by the end of the first semester. The deadline here is January 20th, 2021. The advantage of applying for the early evaluation is that you will get earlier notification. Notification will be in March. So that's kind of good to know that you have that scholarship. The final and second deadline is basically by graduation. So here we prefer you have your community service hours completed and submitted to Ms. Fisher or emailed to me by May 28th. And it's also based on your grades after second semester, the required test scores through June 2021, and then, as I mentioned, the service hours. So that is the second deadline. The notification for this deadline will be in August. There's also lots of other kinds of scholarships. I mentioned the guidance scholarship website, and it's listed up here. We do get new opportunities daily, so it's one of those things that you don't just check one time and then stop. You can maybe every few weeks go back and look, or look online and see if we have anything new. Also talked a little bit about state grants. Those are based on financial need and things that money that you don't have to pay back. And the state grants application is the same as the Bright Futures application. It's that Florida Student Financial Aid.org. One great scholarship is the College Board Opportunity Scholarship. This started last year. It's open to seniors. You can earn up to $40,000 for completing steps to applying to college. So what's really cool about this scholarship is you're earning money for things that you would be doing anyway. So they have, for example, step one is creating a list of colleges. So if you just go in under Big Futures and create your college list, then you're eligible for one of the scholarships. And then there's like step two is practicing the SAT with the Khan Academy. One of the other steps is increasing your score. So if you increase your SAT score by so many points, you can be eligible for another scholarship. Completing all of the steps puts you in the pot for that $40,000 big scholarship. So what I really like about that scholarship is that it's doing things that you should be doing anyway. So the website's listed here. Again, it's with the College Board company. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. ACT, these are the test dates. You'll notice they've added a lot more test dates, and that is to make up for the cancellation of a lot of dates from the spring. So hopefully these will remain open and your child will have an opportunity to take the ACT. You would register online at their website, which is act.org. SAT is collegeboard.org, and the dates are also listed here. Again, it's an online application, and they have also added more dates to the fall semester. And one of the best practices for the SAT is the Khan Academy. And what it does is if you've taken the SAT before or the PSAT, it will develop a personalized study plan for you for the SAT. So it's a really valuable tool. And ACT, they also offer free test prep. It's called the ACT Academy. And that also features resources and free test prep. The next few slides that that are up are some stats on the major universities in Florida. And just to kind of give you an idea, Florida State University, of course, is a very popular school for our students since we live here in Tallahassee. This is the 2020 academic admitted profile. Fall term, summer term, and the Seminole Pathways optional way. So you can see here that it's got their GPA, and this is the mid-range. So there's some students who got in that may be a little lower, and there's some students that may have been a little higher. So it tells you here their GPA, SAT, and ACT. To apply to FSU, you want to go to the undergraduate freshman website, admissions, and there's 3 different options to apply. They have their regular FSU application, they have the Common App, and they have the Coalition app. FSU doesn't have a preference, but they just say, please just submit one. Don't submit 3 different applications for FSU. The deadline dates, December 1 is the priority deadline, and decisions will be made available in February if you apply by December 1st. And then March 1st is we call a rolling deadline. So if there's anything remaining, then you can apply by then. But really, they want you to apply by December 1st. That's the priority deadline. FSU is not requiring transcripts to be sent on the application. So they're asking for what they call a SAR report, a student self-reported academic report. So your child will go and they can get their transcript from Focus and see their grades, and they will just enter on the SAR report what their grades are, what their GPA is, the classes that they've taken. And that's all they need for now. Now, obviously, once they're admitted to FSU, they will require an official transcript at a later date. And then SAT and ACT, FSU is also that you can do a self-report of that as well. Some nice programs that FSU has. One is called the CARE program. It's really great for first-generation students and socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And Seminole Pathways is something you can look into as well. It's another way to enroll when you qualify for admissions but aren't accepted due to space limitations. So as I mentioned, the competition is getting harder and harder. So FSU understands that too. So they're coming up with different ways that you can eventually attend their university. University of Florida, the 2020 admitted profile is listed up here as well. Their admissions application, they have 2 different options, Coalition or Common App. UF also is asking for the SAR report, the self-report for the application. 1 application deadline, November 1st, and a decision in late February. Now they have a different deadline for their SAR, that's December 1st. So the main thing that I tell students is get your application going. You know, some of the other pieces you may have time to do later, but definitely get the application going. All the test scores from SAT and ACT must be submitted directly from those testing companies. On the official transcript, you will see those test scores, but when they ask for official test scores, it must be from either act.org or from the College Board. And UF, just like FSU, has created some other ways to become a Gator. UF Online, they have something called the Innovation Academy, and PACE, where you start online and then transfer to the campus later on. We also have Florida A&M University, FAMU, in our city. And again, you can see the statistics up here. This is data from 2018. I did not see anything as of yet for 2020. You can see here what their minimum test scores and GPAs are. They have an admissions application on their website, and they do have a required counselor form that's online as well. They have what's called rolling admissions, so they're just kind of accepting applications as they come in. Deadline is May 1st. However, they prefer October 30th. And also scholarships, they have an early deadline as well, September 30th. So it's really important to, if you're interested in FAMU, to go ahead and apply and look into the scholarship that they offer. UCF, in Orlando. There's 2 ways to apply, the UCF application or the Common App. And students, just like UF and FSU, will self-report. They have a different name for their SAR. They call it SPARK. So it's self-provided academic records for nights. So it's essentially the same thing. UCF has their own portal, as all the colleges do, to check your status. They also have rolling admissions, but again, the earlier you apply, the better. And they also have some special programs, a lot of programs for STEM majors, which are a nice, the Excel program and the Compass program. Okay, these are some helpful websites on here. We've got some financial aid. The FloridaStudentFinancialAid.org is the website for Florida Aid, and then the FAFSA website. College Week Live, they still do virtual tours online, and then the Big Futures site. So that is the end of the presentation. Let's see. So I think it looks like Ms. Mathis was answering some of the chats as I was talking. Let me see. I think I'm going to scroll through some of these. Okay, a lot of them are just hearing me. Okay, so some of the questions. Okay, I see some of the things right here. When and how do seniors turn in their service hours for Bright Futures? I believe I answered that in the presentation. You turn it in, if you're a brick and mortar student, you can print them out and turn them into Mrs. Fisher in guidance, or you can also email me the service hours. And the link to the presentation, it was already sent out via listserv, but we can also send that out again. The website for SAT is thecollegeboard.org, and it is listed on the SAT slide. I think. Okay, and then the other question, the sound has been going in and out. I couldn't get in until a few minutes ago, just checking this is recorded and will be available. Yes, it's being recorded and will be available on our website. And if for some reason the recording didn't get through, the entire PowerPoint presentation will definitely be there. So all of the information will be there. You can also email your child's counselor, with any questions, me or Ms. Mathis or whoever your child's counselor is for questions. Okay, is there a community college university route? TCC to FSU, or yes. So TCC does have the TCC to FSU program, and Santa Fe also has, I'm not as familiar with it, but I have heard that they also do something similar for UF, like a specific program you enroll in with your goal to eventually go to UF. That is correct. All right, are there any other questions?
Yes, I kind of have a question.
Okay.
My daughter's academic history report is missing her summer courses that she took online.
Mm-hmm.
And also it states something about the civics EOC. Is that needed?
The civics EOC is not needed, so she can ignore that part. And the summer classes, I know our registrar has been working really hard to get all of the grades in from summer. I would just reach out to your child's counselor and then just kind of keep following up about that. but she is working. I know she has a big stack of Florida Virtual School credits to add in, and she's been working to try to get, she is prioritizing the seniors to get those in first. So those should be in soon. And I would just keep touching base with the counselor on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So letters of recommendation, ideas for who most use. You mean like the recommenders that they use? Their counselor or their teacher are probably who they ask for letters from the most. Okay, it says students still need to take an additional online course even though all of their courses online for the 4th quarter last year. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. They do, but as I mentioned, most students have that if they've taken HOPE, if they've taken economics, general or honors, those are online components. But that is a good point. And the requirement with the online is that it has to be the entire course. So that's why that, you know, the quarter of a class wouldn't count, even though that was online. Okay, were there any other questions? Okay, so a question is about the Digital Academy students. Which email were the academic history reports sent to, the parent or the student? I sent mine to both. I believe that's what most counselors did. I sent mine to the parent and to the student. There's another question with the same one. Aren't all of the classes through Yes, the program that they're using is through the Florida Virtual School curriculum. That is true. Does anyone have any other questions? And you can always reach out to us via email. Thank you for joining us. I apologize again for the rocky start with the sound, and I regret that Miss Mathis was not able to help liven up my presentation, so you had to listen to me the whole time and not have some variety there. We'll be working on, I guess, learning this new technology, but thank you very much for attending. Oh, I see there's another question. Test prep opportunities provided at Childs. We have in the past, and we've limited those test prep opportunities for students who have not passed the test they need to graduate. So we've had those kind of test prep opportunities. And we have like a list of resources for test prep. So I know I have a list, so you can always check with your counselor at that. We don't really have any SAT prep at this point at Childs. We could be getting that. And again, as I mentioned, the only SAT prep we've done in the past has been for the students who need to pass the SAT to graduate. Books, if that's referring to like SAT and ACT books, I mean, there are still a lot of good ones out there. Princeton Review is good. And so those are fine to use as well. And again, a lot of free online SAT and ACT prep. Can you offer on-site?
I was wondering where I could find the is this meeting being recorded?
Yes, it is, and we will put it on the guidance website.
Okay, where would I find that in the guidance website?
You'll go
Would I go to Childs?
Yeah, go to Childs and then department guidance, and then I'm not sure where they'll add it, probably under announcements. There's like 3 different tabs there. It'll be under one of those tabs.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, how you doing? I got a quick question.
Sorry, is counselor's letter will be a recommendation letter? Will, let me see how to say it. Like we asked 3 teachers have recommendation letter. But how about the counselor? Do we need to specifically request our counselor to write a letter, or they will be automatically have one?
It depends. So I know, like, for example, with Common App, the counselors is already included because they'll have to send something. The counselor sends a recommendation on Common App and Coalition application as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Hey, my question is for the Virtual Academy. I don't know if you already answered this or not. How about books? Does the student have access to the books? Because if they was in school, they would have access to the books for class.
I believe they're not using as many textbooks this year for class. I know some teachers are giving them out, but not all of them have.
Okay. And my other question, you probably seen it in there, was like, I was told that there was SAT vouchers or ACT vouchers that for students, all you got to do is ask your guidance counselor for them.
Right.
Is that true?
Yes. If your child is on free or reduced lunch, then they're eligible for an SAT or ACT fee waiver. And so they just need to check with their counselor on for that.
All right.
Great. Let me see. There's some other typed questions out here. The SAT administration during the day at Childs. Again, the only things we have offered up to this point are the SAT for the students who haven't passed their graduation reading test. And those are actually called non-college reportable, the ones that we have offered, so that they aren't like regular SAT tests. That might be something really good to be able to offer in the future. Let's see, will service hour opportunities are limited? Will Childs be posting any opportunities? Yes, actually there's already, over the summer, I created a little flyer that gives you some ideas for unique, I guess, COVID service opportunities. And so that is also on our website. It's listed there. And a lot of for example, some of the things that students were doing was like making masks, picking up groceries for a neighbor, starting, even a website to, help support, raise money, things like that. So there are a lot of other things that they can do for those service hours. And remember, the service hours can count from after your child graduated 8th grade. So that summer before 9th grade, all the way through senior year, any of those hours will count. So, they may have had previous hours as well. Let's see, why not ask to offer SAT, ACT now due to COVID? I'm not sure what that is referring to. I mean, as I mentioned, some colleges are not requiring, they're doing test optional because the limitations of COVID. Okay, so the other question is about grades in Canvas and Focus. When will the grades be corrected by that time? The grades should be, I'm not a teacher, so I'm not entering grades, but teachers are supposed to be entering the grades in Focus. I believe they're correct. They're not, this is my understanding. Teachers may be able to better answer this. But they're in different locations. So they do have to transfer grades from Canvas to Focus. But I haven't heard of anything about it not being correct. You may want to check with the teacher or someone about that one.
Right, this is Callie Pickens. I'm the assistant principal at Childs. And thanks, Ms. Brothers, you're exactly right. The teachers are having to transfer the grades from Canvas into Focus. So Focus is actually, where the grades of record will be officially. So the teachers have that additional step that they're having to do. So it's taking them a little bit longer to get those grades from Canvas into Focus. So be patient with us. We're doing everything. They're working super hard trying to make everything current, but by interims, you know, we should have an accurate list of grades in focus.
Okay, so when will it be posted to Childs for recording? When I can figure out how to do it, as soon as possible, hopefully. But it may be next week if I have technical difficulties getting it. I'll probably use the help of Miss Christie to help me post this. But again, as soon as we can.
I actually know how to do that, Brummage.
Oh, Miss Mathis, welcome.
I don't know. Everything went out. I don't know if it's the rain or what.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
Do you have anything to add?
I was trying, before I went out, I was trying to answer the questions on chat. I don't know if you could see it or not.
Yeah, I saw that. So thank you for that. That was great.
And answer the questions. So I'm sure you covered it all. But it's easy to save this and post it because I've done some of those.
Cool.
Can't hear you, Callie. She's muted.
I do see a question about prom and grad night. Stay tuned, guys. We don't know yet. We're hoping for second semester that there'll be some changes. We just don't have the answer. And yes, the PowerPoint will be posted on the guidance website as well. Yes.
Okay, let's see. Immediate deadlines for seniors. That just depends on, like, for colleges or things for Childs. If it's something related to Childs, you can contact one of our senior sponsors and they can help answer that. If it's a college, but you know, basically the website's going to give you the answer to all their deadlines.
Also, November 1st, I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, but that's a huge college application deadline. So it's a huge deadline for many, many schools.
Somebody asked, when do we ask the teachers for letters of recommendation? The more time you give them, the better. Teachers and counselors were having a lot going on, obviously. So this is earlier we have it, I would say the better. And you may also want to give the teacher a copy of your resume, your child's resume as well, to kind of help them with the letter. Ms. Mathis, did you want to add?
Type this. No, I was typing the same response that you were saying.
Okay, let's see. One more. Are all scholarships on College Board? There's some scholarships with College Board, like the College Board Opportunity one that I mentioned is with College Board, but there are other, you know, scholarships that are not. So the big folder in guidance, there is a blue notebook. That is, if you go into the guidance suite, we have a filing cabinet, and the very top one says scholarship info. Students are welcome to look through that anytime. And there's a blue notebook in the front, and that's the index to all the scholarships. So that is what the notebook is. And again, if your child is digital and unable to come to campus, the information in the blue notebook is also online under scholarship resources. And yes, they can apply to college before having Bright Future scores. Let's see. Child's resume.
I'm doing the resume.
Oh, I see. I'll send it. Okay, yeah, I see Ms. Mathis answered that question. Okay, somebody asked about if the SAT was going to be canceled. Oh, I don't know. I hope not. I don't,
Right.
I've heard so many stories
Well,
about that too, about it being canceled at the last minute. And I don't know if any of you guys heard anything.
yeah, some kids are talking about the ACT had been canceled. I don't know. We haven't heard that officially. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and close out. So thank you all for attending. And if there were questions that we missed in the chat, or you weren't able to hear because of the sound issues, feel free to email your child's school counselor. So we're here to help you and get your child through the senior year, this challenging, very different senior year. So again, thank you all. Thank you, Ms. Pickens, for being here. Thank you, Ms. Mathis. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties, and we will get this up on the website as soon as we can. So have a good night, everyone, and thank you again.